You guys feel that? Welcome to Old School is Cool, my new show here on YouTube. And if that little segment right there didn't just send goosebumps up and down your spine, you're subscribed to the wrong channel. Because today's all about Wrestlemania 7. This is the direction I'm going. It's my specialty. I love it. I'm here for my old school fans 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to talk to you guys anything old school. Today we're going WrestleMania 7, March the 24th, 1991. Hogan and Slaughter for the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship belt. Let's get to it. My favorite WrestleMania of all time. Let's get started. This is going to be lots of fun. For my old schoolers, let's do it. So the first question is, everyone's asking is, hey Jim, why would WrestleMania 7 be your favorite WrestleMania of all time? And I can tell you guys that the story between Slaughter and Hogan in the main event was magic. The story was masterfully told between the two of them. Let me see, let me find it here. WrestleMania 7. I'm not no professional video maker. Get out of here. You know, I mean, I'm not the best video maker, but what I can bring to you guys is some passion. I can bring to you guys, my love of wrestling. If I can find WrestleMania 7, let me turn this shit around here. Let me find it in here. See, I'm blooping and blundering already. There it is. Got a little confused on my Roman numerals. Alright. WrestleMania 7. Now, if you look at the original cover on it, this is okay, but out there is a big white clamshell, which is much cooler than the Legacy set. Although I will give this Legacy set credit because this is a live pay-per-view recording, and the Coliseum video does cut up the Macho Man and Warrior career match. So let's go take a look at another way where we could access WrestleMania 7, March the 24th, 1991, Los Angeles Sports Arena. All about the old school. I love it. Okay, old schoolers. Now, if you own the Coliseum video, first off, before we get to the review here, this is what it looks like. This is the original cover. I had this tape for years. I wish I still had it, even though the Coliseum video was cut to shit. I wish I still had this tape, and anybody who has this tape, never ever get rid of it. Never sell it. Keep this Coliseum video forever and never give it up, because this tape right here, it's magic. You feel me, old schoolers? Magic. Okay, a little quick synopsis on WrestleMania 7, okay? Macho Man cost the Warrior at the 91 Rumble. He cost him the World Heavyweight title. He smashed the Warrior in the head with the scepter January the 19th, 1991, causing the Ultimate Warrior to lose the WWF title that he held for 9 months, and allowing Slaughter to win the WWF title. Slaughter was an Iraqi sympathizer, and Hogan was the American hero, so it was masterfully done. Slaughter was the heel because we were at war with Iraq at the time, so he was an Iraqi sympathizer with General Adnan. Now, it was a perfect scenario for Hogan, the great American hero, to defeat the turncoat, the former American Sergeant Slaughter, and give the belt back to America. And that's what this event symbolizes. Now, as you watch WrestleMania 7, you'll notice a very different crowd. A very somber crowd. A very high emotional crowd due to the fact that we were at war at the time with Iraq. So everyone was a little tense. This event was originally supposed to be held in Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, and it was supposed to hold 103,000. They say that due to security reasons they moved it to the LA Sports Arena, but that's not actually the truth. Actually, the truth is they moved it to the Sports Arena because of low ticket sales. They weren't going to sell at the Coliseum, and they were embarrassed. In 1991, everyone was pinching their pennies because we were at war and no one was really sure what was going to happen. But even though everyone was kind of pinching their pennies in 1991, people still spent money on WrestleMania 7 to see Hogan win, because this pay-per-view smashed all kinds of records. So what we want to do at this time is we'll take a look at some of the matches on WrestleMania 7. What I'll do is I'll get the WrestleMania 7 out of the anthology, and we'll take a look at that, and we'll go through some of the matches. So just kind of set the scenario of WrestleMania 7. Very different, somber crowd, but it definitely delivered. WWF 91 was extraordinary, and this was an extraordinary event. So let's take a look at some stuff here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to look at the Legacy set now, or the Anthology set. Now, if you don't own the VHS tape of WrestleMania 7, first off, shame on you. You need to get the WrestleMania Anthology. Now, this, when I bought this, it was well over $200. Now you could probably snag it on Amazon for $70, somewhere around there. So let's take a look. I believe it's on volume 2, 90 through 94. Yes. Okay. Now you got WrestleMania 7 right here. Now this disc it looks like any other disc, but this is actually the live pay-per-view recording where you can see all the celebrities. Regis Philbin and Marla Maples, and Donald Trump was there as an invited guest of Vince McMahon. So you had some high rollers there for sure. Okay, so the show started with the Rockers. And I mean, the Rockers at the time were opening up tag team matches and just wrestling their asses off. And I think everyone knew that Shawn Michaels was going to be the breakout star. And by 92, he was an Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. So the Rockers went over on Haku and the Barbarian. And I know the Haku and the Barbarian were just big guys, but they were really, really fun to watch. They were just fun wrestlers to watch, and they worked well with the Rockers. Dino Bravo versus Jimmy Hart versus the Texas Tornado. This is Kerry Von Erich's one and only WrestleMania. And what wound up happening is Kerry Von Erich hit the turn punch and knocked Dino Bravo out. But it was interesting. So if you own this, you have the one WrestleMania match by Kerry Von Erich. And this was in 91, March of 91. And by 93, Kerry Von Erich was done and gone. So you wanted to get your hands on, Kerry Von Erich. Kerry Von Erich, world champion. He was a great one. British Bulldog and the Warlord actually had a damn good match. They had a damn good match. And the British Bulldog wound up putting 330-pound Warlord up on his shoulder and giving him a power slam and pinning him, which was an extraordinary feat of strength. Hart Foundation went into this contest as the World Tag Team Champions, and they faced the Nasty Boys, up-and-comers. And the Nasty Boys went over on them, unbelievably. The Nasty Boys would hold the belts from WrestleMania 91 all the way up until SummerSlam 91. But the Hart Foundation, this was their last tag team match together. And the Nasty Boys, they talked about cracking the stinking pink attack. And they indeed did. The Nasty Boys won the World Wrestling Federation tag team belts that day. And it was crazy. They had a great reaction after the match. Okay, the blindfold match. This was a first. Jake the Snake and Rick the Mono Martel. The way this match worked is both contestants were blindfolded. And you can imagine how difficult it would be to wrestle blindfolded. So what Jake would do was he would point to the crowd and they would give him the directions of Rick Martel. And Rick Martel, he would point and the fans would tell him the wrong way. And Jake wound up hooking the DDT and getting the pin. Jimmy Snuka versus The Undertaker. This was The Undertaker's debut at WrestleMania, and he just destroyed the legend of Jimmy Snuka. Okay, so the next big match, the best match of the night, was Macho King and the Ultimate Warrior. So let's talk about this real quick. Okay, so Warrior and Savage, this was a career match. That means the loser's gone. So these guys are in the ring, and they're battling. And there's one spot in the match where you think that the Warrior's out of it. Macho comes off the rope 5 times with the flying elbow drop. and the Warrior still kicks out of it. Unbelievable spot when the Macho hit the elbow 5 times, and the Warrior still got up and won the match. So Macho was retired up till that December when he wrestled Jake at Tuesday in Texas. But at the time, it was emotional, and then he reunited with Elizabeth after the match, and it was magic. Everybody in the building was crying. Just a best match of WrestleMania 7, bar none. Okay, so they took the emotions every way that you could go in that match with the Warrior and Macho Man. Demolition and Tenryu Kitao. I know that the Japanese wrestlers went over in this match, and it was actually a weird combination of Demolition. It was Demolition Crush and Demolition Smash, and Axe I think was already done at the time, but the Japanese wrestlers wound up winning over. Your Intercontinental Championship match was Mr. Perfect with Bobby Heenan versus the Big Boss Man, who was one of the biggest baby faces in the WWF at the time. And Boss Man didn't win the belt. I believe it was either a count or a DQ on Perfect's part. Earthquake versus Jimmy Hart. Earthquake put the kibosh on Greg the Hammer Valentine. Legion of Doom and Power and Glory had a good fight. Power and Glory actually, they did okay. They held their own, but in the end, Legion of Doom went over. Virgil versus the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. And Piper got involved in this, and DiBiase did some dirty deeds to Piper, because Piper just coming off a car accident and his legs were all messed up. So I think Virgil got a pretty good beating that day from the $1 Million Man, and that was set up from the Rumble 91. Mountie versus Tito Santana, and the Mountie wound up giving him the shock stick and winning the match. Now we get to the main draw, and it's right here. It's WrestleMania 7 main event. Slaughter had been just so hated to the point where he had to wrestle in a bulletproof vest, and he burned the Hogan t-shirt, and he talked about playing by his own rules, and Hogan took a beating in this match. I mean, it started off pretty good where Hogan was ahead at first and he was winning, and then Slaughter came back and he gave Hogan a beating. He put him in a Boston Crab, he put him in a camel clutch, and then Hogan in the end hulked up. Regis Philbin was on commentary, and it was a damn good match. And I, from that day forward, had new respect for Sergeant Slaughter. So I never had any idea how really tough Sergeant Slaughter was. So he was tough, man. I mean, no doubt. But Hogan wound up winning the belt. But there's more to it than that. Here, let's talk about it. Okay, so Hogan and Slaughter are going at it. Slaughter has Hogan down in the camel clutch, in the Boston Crab, just beating the dog out of Hogan. And Hogan's down. And he hulks up, and he wins the WWF title, and you think it's over at that point. You're like, oh, America won. But then, what they won't show you on the anthology is the fact that after the match, Sergeant Slaughter went into Hogan's locker room, and he threw a huge fireball at him. And Hogan had to wear a bib, because I came to a house show 3 days later where Hogan had to wear a bib, over his face and stuff. So they sold that angle all the way up till SummerSlam. They feuded till SummerSlam. And then Slaughter wound up being a babyface again. But at that time, it was a hot feud. Slaughter went on with Mustafa and formed the Triangle of Terror. And Hogan went on to hold that belt all the way up till almost the end of 91. So they had a damn good fight. Slaughter and Hogan, the two old schoolers, having a great fight. So we'll finish this and we'll just say WrestleMania 7 is absolutely epic. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, you're really missing out on some great matches. You're missing out on the Nasty Boys winning the belts. You're missing out on the Warrior and Savage. But get the anthology, that way you can see the live pay-per-view version. So I hope you enjoyed this, and remember, old school is cool, guys. Gemini, WrestleMania 7.